You know that frustrating moment when you're standing in the kitchen trying to remember why you walked in there? Or when a familiar name suddenly escapes you mid-conversation? If you're over 60 and this sounds familiar, I've got great news for you. Memory loss isn't an inevitable part of aging. In fact, your brain is capable of growing new connections at any age when you give it the right care. Today I want to share 5 simple, science-backed habits that can help keep your memory sharp and clear. These aren't complicated brain exercises or expensive supplements, they're practical, everyday routines that my 83-year-old mother-in-law uses religiously. And let me tell you, she remembers details better than my smartphone calendar does. Let's start with what I call the morning memory ritual. Those first 30 minutes after waking are absolutely crucial for brain health. Here's what you should do. First, before you even get out of bed, take 5 deep breaths. Inhale slowly through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for 4, then exhale through your mouth for 4 counts. This simple practice oxygenates your brain and lowers cortisol, that pesky stress hormone that clouds your thinking. Next, drink a full glass of water. Your brain shrinks slightly overnight from dehydration. And studies show even mild dehydration can impair short-term memory. Finally, name 3 things you're grateful for out loud. This activates multiple memory centers in your brain. My neighbor George started doing this while his coffee brews. And within weeks he went from constantly misplacing his glasses to remembering where he left them nearly every time. Now let's talk about your brain's favorite foods. Did you know your brain is nearly 60% fat? And not just any fat. It craves specific omega-3 fatty acids that act like rust-proofing for your memory cells. After 60, we often stop eating the foods that provide these crucial nutrients. Here are 3 easy ways to get them. First, eat a small handful of walnuts daily. They even look like little brains. Second, enjoy wild-caught salmon twice a week. Third, sprinkle flax seeds on your oatmeal or yogurt. The key is consistency. My friend Margaret bakes what she calls her memory muffins every Sunday, whole grain with walnuts and flaxseed. She credits these with helping her still beat her grandkids in card games that require sharp recall. Here's a habit that might surprise you: the digital detox hour. In our constantly connected world, endless screen time is actually exhausting our brains. Neuroscientists recommend a daily tech-free period to let your memory centers recharge. Choose the same hour each day. After dinner works well for many. Turn off all screens. Yes, that includes the TV, and spend that time doing analog activities like reading a physical book, working on a puzzle, writing in a journal, or simply sitting and reminiscing. My book club friend Ruth started doing this and found she could suddenly recall book plots and characters with much greater clarity. She says it's like her brain finally has room to breathe again. Now, these first 3 habits create a strong foundation. But the next 2 I'm going to share with you are what really tie everything together. One involves a surprising evening routine that helps consolidate memories overnight. And the other is about engaging all your senses in a way most of us haven't done since childhood. But before we get to those, I'd love to hear, which of these first 3 habits do you think would be easiest for you to start with? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're finding this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tips on thriving after 60. Remember, your best memories are still ahead of you. You know, when I first started researching memory health for people over 60, I made an interesting discovery. Our brains are a lot like these plants here. Gestures to plants. They both need the right environment, proper nourishment, and consistent care to truly thrive. Yesterday we covered those first 3 crucial habits: the morning memory routine, feeding your brain the right fats, and that all-important digital detox. Today, we're going to dive into the final 2 habits that complete this memory protection system. And I'll share some real-life examples of how small changes made dramatic differences for people just like you. Let me tell you about habit number 4, what I call sensory cross-training. Now this might sound fancy, but it's actually something you probably did naturally as a child. Remember when you'd stop to smell flowers on your walk, or run your fingers along a brick wall just to feel the texture? That wasn't just child's play, it was building neural pathways. As we age, we tend to rely mostly on sight and hearing, neglecting our other senses. But here's why that matters for memory. Each sense you engage creates a unique memory trace in your brain. The more senses involved, the stronger the memory. Here's how to put this into practice starting today. First, try this simple exercise with your morning coffee or tea. Close your eyes and really focus on the aroma before taking that first sip. Feel the warmth of the cup in your hands. Notice the flavors dancing on your tongue. My friend Ed started doing this and found he could suddenly remember what he had for breakfast 3 days prior, something that used to escape him completely. Another powerful technique is to occasionally use your non-dominant hand for simple tasks like brushing your teeth or stirring your coffee. This forces your brain to create new connections. And here's one of my favorites. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique when you want to remember something important. Name 5 things you see, 4 things you feel, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you taste. It's like creating a multi-sensory bookmark in your memory. Now, let's move to what might be the most surprising habit of all. Habit 5. Purposeful nostalgia. This isn't just flipping through old photo albums, though that's great too. It's about actively engaging with your personal history in ways that stimulate multiple areas of your brain. Research from Harvard shows that seniors who regularly share meaningful stories from their past maintain better memory function than those who don't. Here's how to do it effectively. Set aside 20 minutes twice a week to recall and share a specific memory in detail. The time you got your first car, your childhood home, your wedding day. But here's the key. Don't just think about it. Describe it out loud or write it down. Engaging all those senses we just talked about. What did the air smell like? What sounds surrounded you? My neighbor Martha started a memory sharing group at her senior center where they take turns telling stories. And after 6 months, every participant showed measurable improvement in memory tests. But here's something important I've learned from working with hundreds of seniors. Knowing these habits isn't enough. The magic happens in how you implement them. Let me share 3 key strategies that make all the difference. First, what I call the 2-minute rule. If a habit takes less than 2 minutes to start, you're far more likely to do it. So keep those walnuts on the counter where you'll see them. Have your journal and pen right by your favorite chair. Second, pair new habits with existing ones. Do your deep breathing while waiting for the coffee to brew. Practice sensory awareness during commercial breaks. Third, and this is crucial, track your progress in a way that motivates you. One gentleman I know puts a marble in a jar every time he completes his memory habits. And when the jar is full, he treats himself to something special. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what about days when I just don't feel like doing this? That's completely normal. On those days, I want you to remember Alice, a 78-year-old viewer who wrote to me saying she could barely remember her grandchildren's names when we first spoke. She started with just one habit, the morning routine, and added others gradually. 6 months later, she sent a video of herself reciting all 7 of her grandchildren's names and birthdays flawlessly. The tears in her eyes said it all. Progress, not perfection, is what we're after. As we wrap up today, I want you to think about which of these new habits resonates most with you. Maybe it's the sensory exercises, or perhaps the storytelling aspect calls to you. Whatever it is, that's where I want you to start tomorrow. Because here's the beautiful truth. Every time you practice one of these habits, you're not just preserving memories. You're proving to yourself that your brain is still capable of incredible things. And that belief, my friends, might just be the most powerful memory booster of all. You know, when we first started this journey together, I shared how my friend George struggled to remember my name at the grocery store. Well, here's the rest of that story. Just last week, I ran into him again at that same store. But this time, not only did he remember my name immediately, he recalled our last conversation from 3 months prior and even asked about my daughter by name. What changed? He committed to those 5 simple habits we've been discussing. And today, as we wrap up this series, I want to show you exactly how to make these habits stick so you can experience transformations like George's. Let's take a moment to revisit all 5 habits quickly. First, our morning memory ritual, those deep breaths, hydration and gratitude practice to start your day right. Second, feeding your brain its favorite fats, those walnuts, salmon and flax seeds. Third, that crucial digital detox hour to let your brain reset. Fourth, sensory cross-training to build stronger memory pathways. And fifth, purposeful nostalgia to keep your personal history vibrant. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That sounds like a lot to remember. But here's the beautiful truth. These habits naturally support each other in ways that make the whole system greater than the sum of its parts. Let me introduce you to what I call the memory habit stacking method. This is how you seamlessly weave these practices into your daily life without feeling overwhelmed. Take Margaret, one of our viewers who wrote to me saying she could never stick to routines. Here's what worked for her. She starts her day with those 5 deep breaths while still in bed, habit 1. Then she walks to the kitchen and drinks her lemon water while mentally listing 3 things she's grateful for, also habit 1. While making breakfast, she sprinkles flax seeds on her oatmeal and adds walnuts, habit 2. After dinner, she turns off the TV, habit 3, and instead works on a jigsaw puzzle while describing the textures of the pieces out loud, habit 4. Then before bed, she writes one childhood memory in her journal, habit 5. See how they flow together. Now, I want to address something important, the obstacles you might face. First, what if you miss a day? Here's a liberating truth from neuroscience. Consistency matters more than perfection. Your brain benefits from regular practice, not flawless execution. My friend Ed calls this the 80-20th rule. If you follow these habits 80% of the time, you'll still see remarkable results. Second, what if you don't see immediate changes? Remember, you're not just forming habits, you're literally reshaping your brain. Most people notice subtle improvements in 3 to 4 weeks, with more dramatic changes appearing around the 3-month mark. Let me share some powerful success stories to inspire you. There's 72-year-old Ruth, who went from forgetting why she entered rooms to memorizing entire poems again. Or 68-year-old Carlos, whose family was amazed when he started recalling detailed stories from his childhood they'd never heard before. But my favorite might be 81-year-old Florence, who not only improved her own memory but started a brain health buddy system at her retirement community, pairing people to practice these habits together. The social connection boosted everyone's results even more. Here's something fascinating researchers have discovered: when seniors improve their memory, they often experience what's called a ripple effect in other areas of life. Better sleep, sharper vision, even improved balance. Why? Because all these systems are interconnected. When you nourish your brain, your entire body benefits. That's why I encourage you to think of these not just as memory habits, but as whole person wellness practices. As we come to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with what I call the 3 memory promises to yourself. The promise of patience. Your brain didn't develop these patterns overnight, and it won't rewire itself overnight either, but it will respond to consistent care. The promise of small wins. Celebrate every little victory, whether it's remembering where you put your keys or recalling an old friend's name. These small wins add up. The promise of self-compassion. On days when your memory feels foggy, speak to yourself with the same kindness you'd show a dear friend. Now, I'd love to hear your stories. Which of these habits have you tried? What changes have you noticed? Your experiences could inspire others in our community, so please share them in the comments below. And if you found this series helpful, do me a favor, hit that like button and share it with a friend who might benefit. Because here's the beautiful truth I've learned after years of working with seniors. Our memories are more than just neural connections. They're the fabric of our lives, the stories that make us who we are. And with these simple habits, you're not just preserving memories, you're creating space for new ones to flourish. So here's to remembering the little moments that bring joy, the important dates that show we care, and the precious stories that connect generations. Your brain is capable of amazing things at any age. You just needed to know how to care for it properly. Now you do.